Hi guys, I hope you're having an amazing day today. In this video, I'm going to be looking into the question, what are the honest thoughts and feelings of the person on your mind towards you right now? There are three groups to choose from. Group one is the Snowflake Obsidian heart. Group two is the Rose Quartz heart. And group three is the Amethyst heart. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups, or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to. I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you'd like to jump ahead. And up next is a close-up photo of the crystals to help you better make your selection. Hi, Group 1. You chose the Snowflake Obsidian heart. So let's see, the person on your mind, what are their real thoughts and feelings, their honest thoughts and feelings towards you at this time? Okay, so to start with, let's see. Venusian Galactic Council, Star Being Guides, answer the call, time to shine. So the person on your mind, it feels like they are enamored with you, with your glow, with your radiance, with the way in which you hold yourself, the confidence with which you move through the world. You may be focused on some kind of like particular goal, mission, purpose that you've been working towards for a while, or maybe something that you are newly aligning with. And there's a sense that this person feels like, I want to be a support system for you through this process. They're hesitant maybe, and this could account for sort of like some hot and cold behavior on their part. There's a sense of like they don't want to intrude on your process. They don't want to interrupt your flow, but they also don't just want to like stand on the sidelines. It's almost like somebody that's looking sort of like, okay, where's my place within the grand scheme of what you have going on? How can I help? How can I align myself with what you have going on? How can I take action and create movement in order to ride the wave that you are riding? And so there's a sense that this person feels like they respect you as a leader. They would be willing to like follow your lead, or they're appreciating that you're setting a very particular tone for the relationship or the potential of a relationship based on almost like self-respect, self-awareness. Maybe even this could be the energy of, even when you're having like an off day or a hard time, you're showing up for other people, you're lifting other people up, you're encouraging other people. They see you as a very kind and compassionate person, and there's a sense of they are wanting to almost soften their stance to adjust how they've been moving through the world so they can be more like you or more aligned with what you have going on at this time. So this is like almost somebody that is very drawn towards you as like a beacon of light and love. We also have Merkaba activation, transcendence, ascension. You are rising up. This person may at times, it feels like, be a little intimidated, feel like you're out of their league in some sort of way, maybe because of effort you've put in to your appearance, to your career, to the path that you are aligned with at this time, that is causing them to kind of look around at their own life and say, where have I been cutting corners? How can I do better? How can I show up better? You do motivate this person to change. There's a sense of almost they don't feel good enough to stand side to side with you at this point and kind of like move forward, but there's a sense of like, I know that I can rise to the occasion. I know that I can lift myself up into a place where there's room for both of our egos and both of our aspirations and both of our souls within the nature of like what the relationship can become and where you can both evolve towards moving forward. So if there's a sense of like you feel almost a little out of their league at this point, this is somebody that's like, okay, I'm going to sharpen my skills, so I've got a place within that sort of higher echelon that they see you as kind of occupying or striving towards in your life. There's a sense that they have a lot of spiritual respect for you as well, energetic respect for you as well. There's a sense that they see you as like an old soul or like a wise being. And so this may be somebody that has a hard time kind of like relinquishing control. They may have just control issues in general in their life, and you are one of the few people, or the few people in their life at this point that it's like, okay, I feel comfortable sort of just like listening to your perspective. I would feel comfortable sort of like entrusting myself to you. I would feel comfortable making changes to like the rigid structure that I have in place in my life because I'm inspired by you, or I feel a sense of confidence with you. I feel that even if like I'm a work in progress, that there won't always be this kind of sense of inequality, but you motivate and encourage this person like through your living example to step out of the realm of just like making excuses or settling in some sort of way. And there's a sense of like a can-do attitude. So this may even be something where you may know about this or not know about this, but it feels like just spending time in your presence, seeing what you have going on in your life, even at the times where they've like pulled back their energy, it feels like they still sort of observe you from afar, like keep an eye on you. And you may have really motivated this person to start to explore dreams that they had like deferred in their own life, or things that might be sort of like passion projects, or like, oh, I'd like to do that one day. Someday I'd like to kind of change what it is I'm doing for a living or how I'm living my life. And here's this like bigger goal that has always been maybe like a pipe dream, or sort of out of reach, or something that they might not have gotten a lot of support or understanding from other people in their life about. But there's a sense of like you have some kind of influence on them where it's like, I'm going to make more time for that. I'm not going to seek the approval and validation of others. I'm going to build towards this dream that only I can see, this kind of pull that is calling me outside of the bounds of like the ordinary life that I'm living. And all of that, it feels like they can consciously credit to something where it's like, well, if you're doing what you're doing, what's my excuse for not doing anything? We also have herbal craft, regeneration, plant medicine, caretaker, bloomer. So they see you as somebody who is very grounded, very down to earth, but very tapped in and tuned in to like an ancient wisdom. You're able to read between the lines of almost like your relationship with reality, or like beyond kind of what the masks people present. You may be an empath, so like able to read energies, able to read in people's intentions, and they see you as somebody very, again, like tapped in, very tuned in spiritually. If you've mentioned things like synchronicities and signs to this person, there's a sense that they might have almost thought that was just sort of like fluffy or nonsense. Before like encountering you, it just sort of seemed kind of flaky to them, or nothing that really sort of grabbed their attention as like, okay, there's something to that, there's something valid, or it's worth considering. But any relationship that you have to that, like to your spirituality, to the way in which you connect with your spirit guides, your angels, the universe, God, like in the form of signs and synchronicities that may encourage you to take certain steps forward or not pursue certain things, like anything that this person's aware of, maybe even just something where they're able to kind of notice, hey, you're sort of relying on sources of inspiration beyond just kind of like, does this make sense on the physical? It's almost like you're helping to open this person's mind to the idea of like, yeah, there's a current that can be co-created with, that is beyond just like, does this move make sense to me in a business sense? Does this action step forward align me even closer with these like tangible 3D goals? Like there's this extra component of how you move through the world where like your intuition's a factor, your relationship to your spiritual practice is a factor. They're able to sort of see that in some way, that your spirituality or that side of you, it's not just a gimmick. It's not just something that is kind of like, oh, a hobby or an interest, but that you in some way involve that in both your spiritual self and also your mundane self, and it's helping this person to kind of step outside of the box of a very kind of limited, it feels like, view about things, or view about the esoteric or spirituality, or signs and synchronicities, energy, meditation, even yoga is coming through. So things where this person may have been just in a very logical bubble, the people they were around, just very cookie cutter mentality, and you are somebody who is very different than that. Even if you sort of fit into that mold from the outside, you could blend in with that kind of sector of society and their goals and their pursuits, there's still an aspect of you that has remained free-spirited, or you've liberated yourself in some sort of manner to where there's room for that spiritual component. And so it's got this person's attention. They're curious, they're exploring, they're more open-minded because of you. We also have belladonna visions, caution, guidance, clarity, stand firm. Yeah, so this is somebody that understands, like, you have a very sharp intuition. It feels like this is someone who understands they need to tread cautiously with you, because it's not even so much in what they say or in what they're doing, but you're able to, like, intuit beyond that. You're able to read beyond the surface, or you're very tapped in with your spirit guides to where it's almost like if you can't pick up on certain undercurrents, you're going to be made aware of that in some sort of way. So that's more that intimidation factor, is like you're a force to be reckoned with, but you're also like a force of light and goodness. And so this may be something where if this person were sort of raised in very closed-minded traditions, or things that were just sort of, and this is coming through as even like very scientifically minded conditions, like growing up, there might not have been like a religious household, but people that could have just been sort of like agnostic, atheist, and just very like, the science is the only sort of master within this world, where there may have been an almost taboo aspect to the subtle realm, or things outside of kind of just what mankind can control or quantify in some sort of way, that there's a sense that you really kind of challenge this person's foundation. They're very triggered by that. It's something inside, as like, the more I step closer to you or open my heart to you, I come to this awareness of like the restrictiveness, something that may have been like an over analytical worldview prior to meeting you that they're seeing was just really like limited. It was very like closed off. And so you're opening this person maybe even to like their own sort of ancient wisdom. They may be in the process of starting to explore or become more comfortable with their own intuitive senses, their own clair senses, their own kind of subtle awareness, and almost a sense of like looking to you, sort of like, how do I make space for this other aspect of myself and fit that in with like the very rigid structure that is part of like my core personality, or is how I'm expected to show up for these other people around me that may not be so open-minded or kind of like aligned with that more just closed or logical or literal or science-minded kind of view of the world. And so you're helping this person to kind of quietly explore spirituality or their spiritual side in a way that is helping them to almost integrate part of their shadow. It feels like something where they may have felt like an outsider in their own life prior to meeting you. A sense of almost like, I didn't have anyone that would understand like these intuitive nudges, or the experience of like a spirit guide, or anything having to do with spirituality. And so they kind of just stuffed that, their experience and their relationship to that kind of concept or that world, like away inside of themselves. But through you and kind of like how you're living your life, there's almost like an outlet for that, even internally, for them to even just sit with this in the times that they're kind of like backed off from you energetically. It's almost like, well, if you're brave enough to kind of explore these things and incorporate that in yourself just as much as you do your practical nature, your groundedness, then I can strive for that in my own unique way for myself as well. So there's almost a sense at this time of like They're looking to you as a mentor, which is kind of maybe new for them in terms of people that they've had romantic feelings for. There may have been a sense of like, yeah, I admired what they were doing or I was proud of their progress, but you're somebody that is kind of like inspiring this person to almost lean into their awakening, or you're holding space just by virtue of who you are and how you're living your life for this person to sort of explore that very privately. And so it's an aspect of like, I've never known this could be part of a romantic connection. So it's almost like I don't know how to handle this. I need to tread with caution, but I also don't want to like miss out on the opportunity to experience something further. So let's get a couple more oracle cards, and then I want to get some message cards from their higher self. Okay, so we have divine timing, trust, and success. So even if your circumstances are not ideal at this point, they do see you as the right person and the right time. There's a sense that they may be having to move slowly through obstacles. For a lot of people, though, this may just be like stepping beyond traditions, beyond patterns, that idea of like a worldview or a way in which they were taught to kind of hide their intuition, hide that kind of sensitivity within. They may be somebody who feels very spiritually stunted. Even if they've come from like a traditional religious background, the idea of expanding into spiritual territory, it may be a sense of like they feel out of their depth, they feel out of their league. And so there's a sense of like the pace that this connection is taking, or that they're having to sort of create at this time through like willfully sort of pulling their energy back, or, not kind of rushing forward. There's a sense of like them growing beyond their comfort zone towards some sort of light that you hold inside, or a balance that you've created for yourself. And that allows them to like honor their roots, honor where they've come from, but also move in accordance with like the stars that are actively aligning for them and for this connection, like to participate with that, to co-create with that in some way. There's a sense that they feel very respected by you, very like that you're non-judgmental. Even if you come from two different worlds, two different traditions, you're seeing the world in two different ways. There's a sense of you are open enough of an individual to hold space for that. You're not judging them for that. You're not like, okay, well, we're not seeing eye to eye, so I don't want anything to do with you. Where it's almost like it's helping this person to be aware that there may be people in their life that have been just sort of like virtue signaling, or claim to be very just sort of progressive or open, but were actually very limited in terms of their ability to like take in new information and change their mind about certain things. But you are the essence and the definition of like malleability, transformation, fluidity. You make it look easy, you make it look beautiful. And so there's a sense that it encourages this person to like follow some kind of calling beyond the threshold of sort of like what's been going on in their life up to this point, in order to continue like follow like a higher path, or to more deeply align themselves, like how they can fit themselves in to the world that you're operating within. We also have duality, balance, harmony, and integration. So they see you as like the yin to their yang. You balance them out, you complement them. You're sensitive and intuitive, where they are practical and logical. There's a sense that the trust that you have placed within them and within kind of where this situation is at right now is priceless. You are allowing this person to, at their own pace, rise to the occasion to meet you and soften within themselves in order to receive you fully. And so there's a sense of like, this too is the greatest gift that anyone has given them. You're not pressuring them. Even if you've made ultimatums and you're like direct with what you want, if you've sort of responded to their distance with like, okay, I've got other things to focus on too. I'm not just going to sit here in the corner and sort of cry myself to sleep every night. It's a sense that you're demonstrating self-reliance and self-love in a way that is really giving them the time and space necessary to honor where they're at in their own life and in their own path, and to also have the space to kind of hear that inner calling within as far as where they need to become more curious and expansive, and where it is that they need to kind of honor their traditions and their foundation and work to sort of keep that as a part of who they are becoming, as they also go through this process of kind of expanding beyond the limitedness of who they have been prior to encountering you. So they feel that you're a very good match for one another, or that this connection can continue to develop into something very satisfying. And so even if they've kind of pulled their energy back at this point, there's almost a sense of like, even the silence, even this period of like rest between the two of you, there's nothing uncomfortable about that. There's a sense of like they can feel you energetically and it doesn't bother them. It's not unusual. It's something which is surprisingly reassuring. And so it feels like you're helping this person to kind of move through the process of like someone who may have kind of control issues, and learning to sort of incorporate another person, another ego, another series of like goals and dreams within this kind of radius of sort of like, okay, I exert my will out in the world. I get my way because I make it happen. That may be the mindset that they kind of approach goals or life with. And so there's a sense of you are encouraging them to find ways to kind of fit that in with sort of this unity consciousness, as opposed to just it's me, myself, and I. Like, you're starting to help this person think about the idea of us, or partnership, or kind of working toward the greater good between the two of you moving forward. So let's see what they want you to know from their higher self. Okay, we have, I am changing this pattern and moving forward. Yeah, so this is somebody who may be quietly making changes behind the scenes, expanding their knowledge, starting a spiritual practice, kind of building that part of their identity that is more sensitive, that is more intuitive, that is more exploratory as far as different ways to kind of co-create with the universe, or approach the life they're living, approach reality, kind of activate their potential, work to create a life that they're excited to live. And so changes that they're making for themselves, there's a sense that they're also thinking about, like, I think that this would help us to relate to one another more. I think that this would help us to connect. I think this would help alleviate some misunderstandings or tension or pressure or resistance. Like, they're making changes for themselves, but there are also these thoughts about, I think this will help what we can become with one another moving forward too. And we also have, you're projecting your own fears and limitations onto me. Go within and understand that you are seeing yourself, not me. So they see you as like the mirror reflection of everything that they want to become, like the freedom with which you stand in your authenticity and kind of just pronounce that to the world. You don't seek that outside validation. You're very self-assured. There's a sense of like within them, it's like, I want to be like that. I want to hold myself in that very genuine energy instead of continuing to posture and having to perform for the sake of others. So they're kind of like looking at where they're at within themselves or what they need to do, and then kind of glancing over at you even within the silence, sort of like, okay, are we moving in the same direction? They may even be asking themselves like, what would you do in this situation? Like they're trying to kind of align their energy with you so that things can move with greater clarity and satisfaction in the material world between you as well. They also say, I miss you. Let's both stop running away. So yeah, this is somebody that wants to move closer to you. They want to work as a team. They don't want to fight their feelings. They don't want to fight this connection. They want to do what's possible or what's necessary in order to kind of cross this threshold and this divide between your beliefs, between, where you are in your lives right now and where you're headed, because there's a sense of like, I don't want to miss out on something great just because of stubbornness or because of, an unwillingness to kind of go with the flow of adaptation. They also say you are in old patterns, but you can't see it. So if you are like worried if they've taken some time to themselves or have kind of just gone energetically quiet, and you find yourself thinking like, okay, are they ghosting me, or are they, discarding me? Like, what's happening at this point? There's a sense of there may be like some anxious wounds within you as far as attachment is concerned that could have to do with like previous patterns with this person, but it may even have to do with like other people that you had felt a strong connection with that had just sort of left you hanging in the past. And so this is this person's higher self like encouraging you to just sort of trust the process. Like, even if they've gone silent at this point, they're observing you. They're kind of taking note, looking around, being very self-conscious about their own life at this point, and it feels like recognizing things, people, patterns, behaviors, mindsets that don't align with kind of the strength and authenticity that you are setting the tone and the vibration for, or you've made it very clear to this person, like, this is all I will welcome into my life in a partner. And if you can't bring that, like, don't come forth to me at all. Like, they've taken note of that. They've either taken ultimatums that you've made to them very seriously and they're like working on it, or they're noting that you like adjust your energy as they adjust their energy. And so there's a sense of giving them kind of the benefit of the doubt at this point, not operating as a doormat, but just sort of give them some space for a minute to kind of move beyond this tendency where they might have been a runner in the past, or kind of an avoidant in the past emotionally, but there's a sense of like, I don't want to keep running. I don't want to keep avoiding. I don't want to miss out on this opportunity. So, if you're kind of just jumping to the conclusion like, here we go again with this person, or it's just the same scenario that I've experienced with other people again, there's a sense of them wanting you to just kind of like pause, give them a minute, because there's an intention to kind of regroup or loosen something within themselves to be able to have more deeper or like consistent communication, or the ability to connect with you without feeling tied down or fearful of what all sort of the freedom that you offer them energetically or actually within wherever you're at with one another. There's a sense that they don't want to be afraid that that's like too good to be true or will be taken away someday. They're trying to work on like self-sabotage, it feels like, at this time. They also say, I feel you pulling away and it triggers my fears that you'll leave me for good. Yeah, so there's that sense of somebody that may be almost like, I'm going to self-sabotage because I don't want to be abandoned. I want love. Love comes, and then I'm fearful it will leave, and so I push it away. This person may be like reading and learning about their own kind of psychology, their own motivations, at least putting labels and titles to things so that it's not just like an unconscious mechanism within. And that may be something that like educates them and equips them to show up for you in a way that's more consistent. They know the name for this particular trigger, and so there's a sense of almost like with that they can then sort of chart a course toward, I feel this urge to run, but this time I'm going to stay a little bit longer. I feel you standing in your empowered energy, and I'm going to recognize that my ego is challenged. Like little things where they're able to just sort of troubleshoot that. It feels like they're looking that this will help to kind of set the stage for more consistency rather than this hot and cold energy between the two of you, which they acknowledge has to like change, or they have to evolve beyond it. They also say, I'm trying to figure out this connection. I've never experienced anything like it before. Yeah, so this is definitely next level, not just in terms of the feelings that they have or the emotions or the experiences, but this is definitely somebody who may be in the process of kind of like going through an ascension, going through a spiritual awakening, and they are able to connect that with like you coming into their life. They're able to see a lot of mirroring, a lot of the same kind of like energetic trends, or maybe experiences that you're having in tandem with one another. So it's like you're walking a parallel path, and they're trying to kind of take care of what they need to take care of in like the life that they are living in a material sense. But there's also this energy of like, I don't want to miss out on the opportunity to explore spiritually with you, to expand into a more full or healed version of myself emotionally or spiritually. Like, you motivate this person to do that, to no longer ignore or deny that component of themselves, but you make it feel safe to explore that and bring those aspects into sort of who they've come to know themselves to be on a practical level. So let's get some initials. This can be a first, middle, or last name, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got M, T, W, X, R, I, C, V, H, A, P, S, F, E, L, E, L, and B. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. Chose the rose quartz heart. So let's see, what are the true and honest thoughts and feelings of the person on your mind towards you right now? So the first one that we have is Akashic Records, clearing old stories, releasing past lives, and freedom. So there's a sense that you are helping this person to clear fears of being trapped within relationships. The fact that you're honoring what they have going on in their life, you're not trying to rush forward towards anything. You're giving this person the opportunity to take the lead at this time, or with whatever sort of happens next between the two of you. You're giving them their space and you're honoring that. Or maybe this is something where you've asked them, like, hey, I need to take some space. I have these other things going on in my life. You know, I don't have the time to kind of give you the attention that I once fed into this connection, but don't think that I'm like done with this or I'm abandoning you. Like, maybe you've been the one to kind of set that limit at this particular point in time, and there's a sense of there's a newfound freedom within this connection, or just a sense that like that's an option or like an element of what you're building with one another, or what's possible in the future that was never present with any previous partners. This may be somebody who's used to dealing with like codependent, needy people who couldn't stand on their own, or just sort of like lost themselves within the connection, and sort of became very dependent on this person for their financial stability, their emotional well-being. There's a sense that they might have had a lot of toxic people that they'd sort of allowed into their life previously, and you're helping this person to see like not everybody's like that. Not everybody that there's like a spark with, or the possibility of a connection, that it'll dissolve into something unhealthy. So you're encouraging this person, it feels like, to continue whatever their approach has been with you, and like even a mindset when entering into this connection that might have been different from previous connections, something they may not have discussed with you at all, or you might not be aware of. It's helping them to kind of understand, like, I think I'm moving in the right direction. I think this was the right approach. I think this was like the missing ingredient in other connections, because I'm experiencing different results than I've known before. Like, this person's identified a pattern within themselves prior to meeting you, And so there was a sense that they were trying to break free of that pattern in some sort of way. And you are that evidence that efforts in that regard are headed in the right directions. Maybe this is somebody that's been working on like forgiving their ex or releasing baggage of the past. And there's a sense of you're a very refreshing experience, or you're offering them a very refreshing kind of atmosphere within the parameters of the relationship that they almost feel like they needed to experience the opposite of that in order to appreciate kind of this essential element. Like, I'm free to be me, and yet I'm invited to like create this identity of us alongside you. You're not gonna drop everything that you had going on in your life because I'm showing you the littlest bit of attention. You're instead gonna prioritize those things that matter above and beyond even kind of wherever you're at with one another right now. That might be some almost like some tough love or like firm boundaries that you set that have really sort of been eye-opening for this person. Like, it might have almost sort of triggered them, the idea of you putting your foot down or like pulling your energy back in some sort of way. But it feels like they've moved beyond that sense of like, well, how could they do this? No one's ever responded to me like that before. No one's ever kind of like set an ultimatum or kind of chosen themselves when I was here and available and giving of myself. And so it's helping this person to kind of reframe the idea of like safety and the division of power between two partners. Like, there's a sense that they have a feeling that they could experience true empowerment within this connection because they're dealing with somebody who is standing in that empowered energy. Like, they don't have to teach you what that is like. They don't have to struggle to hold on to that within themselves in the midst of the relationship. But it's this almost the idea of like two people who are independent, like two pillars sort of creating this solid structure through which the framework of a different type of relationship is possible. So you're a breath of fresh air compared to previous partners that they'd had. There's a sense that this person is very like, I didn't even know this was an option within a relationship. I didn't even know that someone could approach me in this way, that I could stand in my provider protector energy but still be allowed that kind of space to protect my own interest, to provide for myself without kind of grudges, without sort of underlying tensions. Because it's almost like you've demonstrated that you're willing to take that, or that takes precedence for yourself in addition to whatever the two of you are able to build with one another. And so it's helping them to understand it's possible with you to kind of rewrite the script of what love has looked like and the idea of what that could be like in the future. We also have Thoth Light Codes, Light Initiation, Great Teacher Awakening, Divine Magic. So this person sees you as radiant, as like a divine being walking the earth. They're very captivated by your aura, by your essence, by the way in which other people respond to you. You may be somebody that attracts a lot of people who are just gonna like, share their life story. You present as somebody that is like trustworthy, or you present like a very sort of safe or nurturing energy. You may help other people to kind of let their guard down very naturally. And there's something like at this time where the person on your mind, they find it very endearing and very inspiring the way that you're able to connect with a lot of different people. You're able to connect with people on a lot of levels. You're able to connect with people who are suffering, or they come to you with, kind of like worries, but then they walk away and they're hopeful. They walk away and there's a little more pep in their step. There's a little less heaviness. Their shoulders are not hanging as low as they were before encountering you. You're like walking medicine. You're like walking sunshine. And so there's a sense that this person recognizes you not just as like a high value person in general, or somebody that they want to kind of like have by their side, but there's a sense of almost like you're here to spread love. You are here to spread light. You are here to be that pillar of light and love within your community, within your family, within your profession, within like people that you will encounter in the future, there's a sense that they feel very lucky to be a part of your life, to be somebody that isn't just a stranger kind of admiring you from afar, or somebody that gets the gift of like a few moments in your presence, you know, the ability to kind of touch upon that light directly. But the fact that you have affections for this person, the fact that you feel something emotionally, that there's like tenderness towards them, that there's a place in your heart for them, it's helping this person to feel very grateful or very honored by the ability to have encountered someone like you in this lifetime. And then it's helping them to kind of think about maybe even like worthiness wounds, as far as like, what did I settle for before? What did I allow into my life because I thought I better just settle for the first thing that comes along, or like whatever their qualifications were, whatever they were looking for or allowing in other partners previously. It feels like it's something that kind of reflected a lack of worthiness. Like they didn't feel worthy to be too demanding, too choosy. It's kind of just like whoever came along and was, you know, willing to kind of go along with their agenda, that's who became the partner. And so there's a sense that that might have put them in a lot of situations where they regretted previous partnerships, they regretted romantic experiences or sexual experiences with other people. There might have been like a sense of, when they arrived at your doorstep, their past made them feel like used or dirty or cheap in some kind of way. They might have overcompensated for that with like an overinflated ego, but there's a sense that you help this person to feel like renewed, or like they're worthy of something that is of a higher quality, a higher value, romantically speaking, than what they've been able to call into their life previously. We also have vervain everlasting, spellbound, soul alignment, release, and protection. So this is the idea of, again, they're like mesmerized by you. They're spellbound by you. They love to watch you work. They love to watch you move through the world. They love to watch you interact with other people. Some of you, and this is interesting, some of you may consider yourself like an introvert, or you're like, I'm not really a people person. I'm not comfortable in those situations when like strangers come up and are, you know, offloading their burdens, especially if you're an empath. This could happen often. And there's a sense that you might feel awkward at the end of all of that, or, you know, kind of like not seen as a person, just sort of gravitated towards as a light. But from this person's perspective, it's like you're doing some kind of public service by just holding that light and being very authentic with others. You are helping change other people for the better. Just touching on your energy activates something within other people. It activates hopefulness, or it gets people to look from like a downtrodden energy to something more optimistic, even if just for that minute of that exchange, and kind of as they move on with their life, as they move on in their own kind of reality. This person is observed on more than one occasion that like something changes for the better within other people. And so there's a sense that you've had this same effect upon them. This is somebody who might have been very pessimistic or jaded towards love, and you have helped to kind of move them sort of beyond that. There's a sense that with you, it's like they understand good people still exist in this world, and that they are worthy of having romance with one of those good people. There's a sense that they are now able to start to look at themselves as a good person. That might be something they haven't really held as kind of a strong realization within themselves in quite some time or ever. There's a sense that you have really, you've almost like performed a miracle within this person's mindset that has been invaluable to them. It feels like coming to understand that like to progress forward with you romantically wouldn't just mean here's somebody that I'm aligned with, but it's almost like you help to bring out the best in them. You help to bring out the best in other people. It's almost like I can realistically live that best life when I am aligned with someone who brings out the best version of me, that is equipped to step into that best life, maintain it, and help it to flourish. So they see you as like the other component of like a power couple, or somebody very necessary to kind of elevating into a place of reality, this high vibe, nature that you have, that you bring out within this person, that you in little ways, without even knowing it, create in the world around you every day, through the people that you interact with, through what you apply your time and effort toward, to the ways even in which you love yourself and protect your own energy. All of that is something which is really influencing this person in a positive way, to see you as somebody not just that they're attracted to or that it feels right with, but that you're good for them. We also have mantra, medicine, command, song, incantation, and containment. So you already have this person's heart, even if they haven't confessed that to you. This is somebody who may be like, I'm already in love with this person. I know I'm going to marry them. I know this is the one. And so this is something where they're quietly holding that knowing, but this is something where it's every step that I take forward in my life is coming closer to that place of being able to kind of give you my heart openly, to surrender myself to you, to trust in you, to create something better in love with me together than the legacy that we've come from separately, in terms of the ways that love had let us down. So you help this person to believe that turning over a new leaf is possible, maybe for their life in general, certainly in terms of romance and their relationship to it, or the idea of what partnership would be, or what that role would be like for them, how they'd be showing up within all of that. It feels like when they talk to you, when you speak, when they hear your voice, it's like music to their ears. It's like a lullaby to all of these hurt parts and these frightened parts inside of them. Is kind of like there's a stillness, there's a certainty that takes over, even when they're just observing you. If you have any kind of social media presence or anything, as far as what you do for your business or your work, or even something where you're just kind of giving back to others, if that's public, if you got a following, a social media presence in that way, this person is definitely an avid listener, an avid reader. They're right at the front row of that audience. This is the biggest fan, but more than just kind of oh, I support you in what you're doing, sweetie, congratulations. This is something where just seeing you in your element, seeing you at work, seeing you in the midst of kind of what brings you a sense of fulfillment, empowerment, peace, whatever ways in which that kind of translates out. This person as well is I get it. I'm experiencing that good benefit off of your positive vibration. I am positively impacted, as are these other people that gravitate towards you, that come towards you as clients or customers, that are part of your community in some sort of way, like a community you've gravitated toward and kind of created a niche for yourself within, or something that is very just kind of outside of the box, like a found family almost. There's a sense that this person just really admires that and feels a great sense of inclusivity within it. So let's get a couple more of these oracle cards, and then I'll move on into some message cards from their higher self. Okay, we have you are the earth, reconnect, renew, and remember. So there's a deep sense of familiarity that this person experiences with you. They may be considering you to be like a soulmate. They may be exploring the idea of past lives. It's a sense of you feel right, you fit. You are not a reflection, though, of their past. You're somebody that is almost the incentive for them to keep striving towards the future, striving towards becoming it's coming through as an active listener, or a better listener. There's something where it's almost like you teach this person how to move beyond kind of brokenness, hurts and wounds of the past, and be able to kind of just take in the present moment with the expectation that good things will come, rather than sort of like looking around and fearing the worst, wondering when the other shoe's going to drop, the rug's going to be pulled out from under them. You bring this person a sense of certainty that like all will be well. Ways in which you've come through like your own adversity, maybe heartbreak or other things in your life, and you've like used that to help other people, or it's become motivation for you to like pick up the pieces, or you continue to remain very like open and loving despite these things. It's helping this person to recognize as well that it's okay to give themselves permission to close out those past hurts and to situate themselves very actively within a present mindset that expects good things for the future. So there's a sense of a lot of untapped seeds of potential between the two of you that they're excited to explore. They're excited to see where this connection goes. I'm hearing what other surprises you have in store. So it feels like the more that they've observed you or they've gotten to know you, there are just all these different layers to you, or you've gone through some transformations in the time that you've been in connection with one another. And it's a sense of that this person is fascinated by that. They've never met anybody like you. And it makes them excited to see kind of like, okay, who else do you become within the context of this relationship or within your life? And therefore, like, what is possible in terms of a love story with a person who is geared toward like a growth mindset, as opposed to partners they were with in the past that might have been very depleted or in very kind of like toxic or low vibes within themselves, had like a lot of unprocessed darkness that just sort of created stagnation within the relationship or even within this person when they were aligned with those individuals. Any kind of promise and potential kind of like withered on the vine. But there's a sense that with you, there's the possibility that things can flourish, that there's long-term potential. There's already been positive changes. It feels like that this person is seen within you, within themselves, and kind of just other people that you interact with. It's just who you are. It's kind of your energy signature and what it does to energies around you. And so there's a sense that they're curious for the future of this. They're excited to see kind of what are the other positive effects that can be experienced from continuing to move closer towards you. We also have illuminate, honesty, transparency, divine order. So they feel like you're one of the most honest people that they've ever met, or your love is very honest. It doesn't come with conditions. It doesn't come with like strings attached. They admire the fact that you're somebody, like you're at a place in your life where like trust is earned, respect is earned. You're no longer just giving pieces of yourself away to kind of like whoever comes knocking. And so there's a sense that they understand that you're discerning. You keep your circle tight. You keep it small. You're very conscientious about sort of like who and what you let in your life. So again, it's this idea of like a privilege to be part of your life, a sense of that when you make promises, when you say I love you, when you are emotional, it comes from a genuine place, not a manipulative place, which it sounds like this person's dealt with a lot of manipulative partners in the past. So you're like a breath of fresh air compared to all of that. So let's see what they want you to know from their higher self. Okay, and they say, I long to sweep you off your feet and shower you with my love. Yes, this person's feeling very romantic, very affectionate towards you. It's a sense of like, I just want to dance with you on into eternity. You're the perfect dance partner for them. You complement them and also kind of inspire them to start to value qualities within a partner that they've never experienced before, or almost that they are seeing are more essential traits than they had kind of thought were necessary or worthy before. Like if this is someone that has kind of based previous relationships first and foremost on like sexual compatibility, or, you know, we have a good time with one another when we're face to face, there's a sense that even if those elements are like here, and certainly those things are important, that there's a deeper aspect of like, they're starting to value who you are as a person, the effect that you have on the world around you, the way in which you kind of make an energetic effect or leave an imprint with your vibration, that all of that speaks volumes and carries more weight and importance than sort of those other elements. So it's almost like for the first time they may be seeing like this is sort of the recipe of what makes for a healthier relationship, or the possibility of that with another person is something which two people are like reaching one another on deeper levels or on all levels. And so there's a lot of excitement on their part to sort of see what happens next between you. They also say, I miss you, let's both stop running away. So yeah, if there's been some like a timeout that needed to be taken in this connection, you know, work or other responsibilities, travel, you know, has kind of led you to in different directions at this point in time. There's a sense of longing, homesickness, loneliness, like I want to see you again, I want to talk to you, I want to hug you. It's like somebody that wants to like run up and hug you and kiss you the next time they see you. And they also say, I'm realizing this connection is something special and worth treasuring. Yes, you are unlike anyone they have ever met. You are their crown jewel. You are somebody that they feel is very precious, very necessary to the future they would like to have and to create for themselves in life. And as far as like the aspect of love is concerned, you're that person. You're that perfect partner. They also say, I wanted to send you a message today, but I was afraid to. I didn't know if you wanted to hear from me or if I could say the right things to you. So they may be kind of back and forth between making some kind of like deeper confession, deeper expression of love, something that would create more of like an official energy between the two of you. But there's a sense of like, is it too soon? Would it be too awkward? Like, especially if you've had time apart or you've not really had much communication lately, there's a sense of like, should we catch up? Should we warm back up to one another? And then we enter into that territory of, okay, let's have that bigger talk. Let's have that bigger discussion. But there's a part of them that's like, I would love for that to be the first correspondence. Hey, I missed you. Here's what's been going on in my life now. Do you want to marry me? Do you want to move in? Do you want to talk about like being official, taking it to the next level? They want to get to that place very quickly with you. Where you're having those more like direct conversations. What are your intentions? What are my intentions? How can we make that dream into a realistic experience for us both? They also say, I want to let my guard down with you, but fear makes me lash out in self-defense. So yeah, this feels like this person's been like manipulated, hurt, lied to, used in the past on more than one occasion, where this may be like the first healthy partnership, balanced partnership, reciprocal partnership. You may be the first person they've encountered romantically who's self-reflected, who's done work on themselves. Maybe you've gone to therapy, you've done your shadow work, you've done your healing, and that it feels like puts you on a level beyond what the usual sort of pool of applicants that they had to choose from, romantically speaking, is involved. So this is somebody that has to kind of like pull themselves into this present reality with you and understand that yes, their past has kind of given them wisdom or things to watch out for, be mindful of in certain ways, but you are unlike anyone they've ever dealt with before. Maybe in the past you were someone that was very like that kind of list of usual suspects, the pool of applicants, the toxic people, the codependent people, the needy people, the people that had no identity outside of how others validated or lifted them up. That might have been you in the past, but you are not that version of you anymore. And so entering into a connection with you or expanding the connection at this point, it's almost like you're both in entirely new territory. Certainly this person's in new territory because it's like, I've never had a romantic relationship with someone that's taken accountability for themselves. I've never had a romantic relationship with someone that actually invested in their own healing and didn't just use it as a hashtag. I have never experienced romance with someone before that can challenge me to be accountable by setting that example within themselves of personal accountability. So it's almost like they have to keep sort of retraining their mind to take this situation at face value and not compare or contrast what the two of you have with the experiences of brokenness that they had with other people before. They also say, whatever you cleared helped me to shift too. So you might have done some shadow work recently, some cord cutting, some empowerment rituals, something where you've made like you've had a breakthrough, or you've like made a step forward, you've quantum leaped, you've transcended, you've wrapped something up, or you've commenced a new cycle of something you're working toward or are focusing on or mindful of or setting as intentions at this point. This is in some way like helping this person energetically speaking, or maybe it's even just you've shifted these things and it's changing how you're interacting with them to where they're understanding that you are somebody that, again, is not just like committed to a growth mindset, is like, oh, it's trendy, it sounds good, I'll just say that and then lean exclusively into my light and ignore my shadow. You're somebody that takes care of both aspects of yourself, and so that movement between those polarities within you, they're starting to see almost this is a dance that you are doing with yourself, and it's making this person want to kind of like get in there too, incorporate themselves within that process, find a new rhythm for how they've been moving through their own reality as well. There's a sense of understanding that whatever the nature of the circumstances are presently, that this isn't just like the limit of what can happen between the two of you, but like better things can happen. You work very well as a team with one another. They're not just like proud of you or experiencing your victories as like, oh, I'm congratulating or supporting my partner, but it's something which helps to kind of lift them from a fog inside of themselves as well. So again, this can be like soulmate energy, twin flame energy, past life connection, where you're very bonded to one another. You're very empathically tied to one another. You're working in tandem through kind of like ascensions or level ups, glow ups in some sort of way. Like this person recognizes your positive influence. Like when things are going right in their life, all signs point to you. When things are going not so well in their life, all signs are pointing to something they need to check out and deal with inside of themselves. And so they feel that there's this really good balance between the two of you in terms of that like personal accountability and how you're able to show up for one another in almost these like continually reinvigorated or transformed sort of ways. It is making this person feel like, hey, this wouldn't just be like a boring, stagnant relationship. There's adventure here. There's the possibility for vitality. That this is a situation where your love would just keep deepening over time, or that bond would continue to strengthen over time rather than like wilt and diminish. So let's get some initials. This can be a first, middle, or last name, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got B, D, P, C, F, N, E, R, T, D, V, T, W, A, P, I, H, Z, V, Q, and W. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. You chose the Amethyst heart. So let's see, what are the person on your mind's true thoughts and feelings about you at this time? Okay, so the first one that we have is sacred inner space. sacral chakra, tenderness, sensuality. So this person is very sexually attracted to you. They find you very sexy, very appealing. Something about the way that you move helps to soothe and ease tension inside of themselves. Just looking at you melts their heart. There's a sense that they feel that you're almost like an angel walking this earth, created just for them. You've come into their life in order to awaken love or to give them another chance at love. It's maybe somebody who was on the brink of giving up on finding a partner or had just kind of resolved themselves to like, well, maybe I'm just gonna have to move through life as a bachelor, as a bachelorette. Maybe I am the love of my life. I am the only love I will find, in an all-encompassing kind of way in this reality. And so this could be somebody that was like, even just there's casual connections, but nobody will ever access me deep on an emotional level. That might have led to a lot of loneliness within them, or a sense of almost just satisfying their carnal needs, but feeling very kind of empty of like true and real connection with another person. And there's a sense of almost like you are somebody who checks off all the boxes in terms of what they are attracted to or what is stimulating to them at this point. This may even be something where you're very opposite of what their usual type and expectation is, but there's a sense of you're that right fit somehow, but you're so different than anyone they've ever like dated or been in a relationship with. But there's a level of like excitement, or like you're very exotic, and they find that very appealing. But then there's also the sense of like you bring them a level of peace within that is helping a part of them to kind of awaken or come out of a state of dormancy and start to ask those questions about like, maybe it's not too late to find the one. Maybe every sort of mishap I have had in romance up to this point has all just been leading me along this like path of brokenness to this moment where I'm not hopeful that I'm ever going to find what I was originally looking for, and then it's right there in front of me. So this person almost feels like you may be some kind of saving grace for them. There's a lot of like sexual healing that takes place between the two of you. Even if you've not entered into a sexual connection with one another, there's like kundalini energy exchange back and forth, where even sitting and just like fantasizing about you, it's almost like they feel renewed. They feel very charged, very empowered. Everything within them responds very positively to you, the idea of you and the reality of you. We also have Earth Star activation, anchoring, grounded action, Isis energy. So this person, it feels like, sees you as someone that helps them to remember who they are before heartbreak made them become cold or shut down or mistrusting of the intentions of others. You're helping this person to like bring down some kind of wall, let their guard down, or you've penetrated deeply into that like sacred space within. You've overcome the gatekeeping. You've climbed over the wall, and you are now situated in a very unique spot within them emotionally. And it's almost a sense of like, how did you get in here? Who let you in here? But just your energy, your presence, who you are as a person. It's like you had that passcode, you had that skeleton key that would unlock every door within this person. You entered into their heart like you owned the place, and it feels right. And so there's a sense of this person recognizing or hoping, praying for, and trying to manifest that this will become something more than just like the best sex they've ever had, or a connection where it's like, okay, I'm free to kind of just express myself. I'm free to experiment. I'm free to explore. I'm free to feel very, very vulnerable and very just like held. There's a sense that all of those things are true, but they want long term with you. They want to find a way to kind of take all this potency, all this passion, all of this like creative energy, this sexual energy, this life force energy, and to do something with that between the two of you more than just the best sex we ever had. So there's a sense that this person wants to like create a life with you. They may want to start a family with you, or in some way build towards like things that you've talked about as shared goals and dreams, or the idea of like, let's start thinking in that direction. So whatever the nature of your circumstance is at this point in time, this is somebody who wants something more permanent with you. They want commitment with you. They want you to be more of a stable or significant part of their life. We also have drawing down the sun, wildfire, divine masculine, magnificence, witness. So you're like the star that outshines all others. This person could not ignore you if they tried. Ever since you've come into their life, ever since you've come into their reality, you've captured their attention. You have eclipsed all others that might have been potential options for a partner, or again, that idea of somebody that may have just been in like casual connections, hookups, situationships, friends with benefits. This is somebody who's like motivated to clear the deck, to close out those other cycles so that they have the ability to devote themselves to the exploration openly of what is possible between the two of you. This is not someone who wants to like hide a connection with you or have you be like a side piece. This is someone that wants you to take center stage. They want to make you a priority. They want to announce to friends and family, announce to the world, like, this is my person. This is who I choose to move forward with in life. It feels like you're helping to create action-oriented energy within this person in order to stoke the flame between the two of you, or participate in like breathing life into this spark, into this connection, into wherever you're at with one another right now, because there's a sense of it feels right to be with you. It feels like there's a version of themselves that they've never met yet that would rise to the occasion to participate in like a long-term connection with you. And rather than being scared of like that version of themselves, it feels right. It feels like all this personal empowerment within, like you're the person, you're the catalyst, you're the activator, you're the awakener to this, but you're not just supposed to like activate this person and go off in your separate directions. There's a sense of like this part of them only makes sense through the contrast of like who you are and what you bring to the table, anchored in alongside them. So they're excited to like see what happens in the future, but there's a sense too of almost like, I have to watch my step with you because I am so attracted to you. This is the kind of person that could be like, we would go on vacation with one another for 2 weeks and we'd never leave the hotel room. And that's something that really excites them. But there's also now their mind is kind of working to, okay, there's more to life than just that. So how do we move beyond that kind of like intense, very kind of voluptuous threshold of possibilities into like, okay, we have that, but then we also have like an ordinary life with one another. They're wanting to like bridge the gap between those two things, because again, this is somebody that wants something more than just a fling. They don't just want a situationship. They don't just want a hookup, friends with benefits. They don't just want to be, you know, engaging with you in that sense. So it feels like there's some thought going on at this point to kind of like, well, what needs to happen in order to create more stability between the two of us moving forward. We also have secret seances, spirit world messages, assistance, memories. So this person may be feeling that like you are divinely guided to cross paths with one another. They're feeling that like friends and family would approve of them bringing someone like you home. You're someone they could bring home to meet mom and dad. You're somebody that would merge very well with their friend circle, or, you know, people that they have close to them. There's a sense of almost they like who they are when they're with you, and that a relationship with you would also allow them to show up for these other people more authentically, better, in more of like a radiant energy. It feels like time that they have spent with you, just even thinking about you or talking with you, or experiences you've had with one another, and then they've gone like on about their life. They've gone to work, they've gone to hang out with friends or family. Even if these other people aren't aware of you or this connection, or didn't know that they just had like interactions with you, they've been able to note that like they are more positive, they are more present, they are easier to get along with, or they're bringing a lot of positive, good vibes into those situations. And it's the result of sort of like how they are activated, or the afterglow of the experiences with you that carries over into like other areas of their life. Other areas of their life are starting to flourish since they've opened their mind to you, since they've opened their heart to you, since they started spending time with you. And there's a sense of like, this is not accidental. This may be something where they're almost feeling like, I prayed to feel this with someone. I prayed to experience this kind of a connection with a person, and it never came. It just like never arrived. And so I gave up. I shut down. I just sort of settled for whatever would come along. I settled for, casual sex or low effort connections, and then all of a sudden you've come into my life, and it's like that answered prayer. It was like the delayed gratification, which again is making this person very serious about like, I got to tie up loose ends. I got to be able to offer this individual the world and be able to back that up with action steps. So let's get a couple more oracle cards, and then I'll move on into some message cards from their higher self. So the first thing we have is sovereign, courage, reclamation, and destiny. Yeah, so this person sees you as the one they've been waiting for, the one they've been looking for, the one that is worth the effort to take a leap of faith with wherever you're at in your connection right now. There may be a sense of sort of like, this is a big step for them to cut off situationships, to not kind of go about the usual means and methods of like how they're hooking up with people, how they're meeting people, how they're putting themselves out there in situations for the possibility of that. It's almost like, I'm gonna close up that part of how I spend my time in order to make myself available for more exclusivity with you, as kind of like a token of affection, something they might not even make you aware of, but like they themselves know, okay, I'm not gonna keep that person's phone number in my phone. I'm not gonna keep chatting with that person online. I'm not gonna go here like I usually do with the intention of meeting people. I'm gonna cut this situation off, or not reach out to that person, or just whatever that looks like. It's like things they may be doing just that they are aware of, but it's with the sense of like, for everything they kind of release from their life or they cut off from their life, there's more of themselves that's able to be like situated at this place of, now I can give to you. Now I'm available for like whatever happens next between the two of us. And so this is something they haven't done this for anyone in a while. It's maybe somebody who's like, they were in that bachelorette energy, and even if it was like lonely, it's sort of just, they were owning it. They were playing that role to the hilt. They were embodying that totally, and it gave them a sense of gratification. It fulfilled them for a period of time. It was truly what they wanted for a period of time, and then they got their way. Now there's a sense of like, the rules have changed. The game has changed. I am changing. I don't want that anymore. I don't want that kind of life, because that kind of life keeps me from you. That kind of life is a barrier to what we can create with one another. So this is somebody who's getting ready to like take a step closer to you by shutting off their availability to others, or even just the thought within of kind of like keeping their options open, or keeping their eyes peeled for sort of just whoever may kind of walk in the door. There's a sense of shifting that attitude, shifting that approach, and becoming more mindful about, okay, now how do we create more stability or certainty between us? We also have guardians, support, nurturing, and guidance. So they feel that their heart is safe with you. They feel that this is a connection worth protecting, worth preserving. There's a sense that they don't want to break your heart. They don't want to lead you on. They don't want to like overpromise and underdeliver. So there's a sense of, again, things they may be like doing behind the scenes that they'd never make you aware of. There'd be no reason for you to be like aware, especially if it's like a new connection, somebody where there's not like a spoken understanding really between you. You wouldn't need to know what else they had kind of going on, or what else they were hopeful about, what else they were sort of like waiting on or had their eye on. They're just sort of discontinuing all of that in the interest of being able to invest with you more fully, protecting the future of this connection by taking their time to make sure that there's not like ghosts of the past coming in to interfere with things, or, you know, sneaky business going on where something would come to light and it would be heartbreaking or disappointing. There's a sense of like, I don't want to put you through that. I don't want to be that person. I want to make these changes to my reality in order to sort of shelter what we have and to put more effort and direct exclusive attention into seeing how that can thrive, how that can grow, how that can develop from where it is right now. So let's see what they want you to know from their higher self. Okay, and we have, I'm trying to understand how my thoughts create my reality. I know I need to stay positive. Are you? So there's a sense that there's a lot unspoken between the two of you that makes whatever they're sort of doing now, it almost feels like a risk, but it's a risk that the rewards would be infinitely worth it. By cutting off other connections, or, you know, sort of breaking off from like situationships, or kind of like I'm available for hookups, but I'm not looking for anything, you know, serious. I'm not looking for anything intense, not looking for anything long-term. Like cutting away from that mindset, there's a sense of it requires evolution in some way in how they're living their life. And without having made that agreement with you, like, okay, let's focus on more of this together, just the two of us. Let's stop our talking stages with other people and kind of just focus on this. It's almost like they're just getting ahead of themselves. They're jumping ahead of the curve to do that. They want to just kind of perform this act for you, rather than it being something where you're like, okay, I'm not comfortable moving forward as long as you have these other people that you're dealing with, or this other thing going on in your life. It's like they're taking that preemptive approach to kind of cut those things off and then be able to start having more of those. So what are we? Where are we going? What do you want? You know, let's explore this kind of conversations with you in this situation. They also say, I don't feel deserving and it's affecting my levels of abundance and openness. So yeah, they've got at least one other person in their life right now that it might not be, they're talking to them, they're talking to you, but it's like an open line of communication. Someone they might have hooked up with in the recent past, or someone that's kind of like a regular sort of in and out person in their reality, or like a series of people, like a roster almost, that it's kind of like, okay, let me just sort of scratch the names off of this list. Let me just sort of wrap that up. Let me, you know, kind of cut ties with these things, because until that happens, it's almost like they don't want to leave anything open to chance of like somebody pops back up, some random person messages, or, you know, like sends a picture, like something comes through that would disrupt or create like trust issues, or you know, would be hurtful in some kind of way, because you'd be like, oh, who's this, what's this other thing? Like they want to avoid that kind of drama and uncertainty. So there's a sense of holding back before they offer something more, so that they can make sure that, almost like in the best way possible, loose ends on their part are closed off, so that there's only like, here I am, and this is what I'm offering to you moving forward. They also say, I want to hold you in my arms and feel our bodies unite as one. So they think that sex with you is great. You're the best sex they've ever had, or they're looking forward to that and thinking that will probably be the case, that I will want for no one else. I won't have an urge to explore or wander. You're what I want. I think that all of this chemistry, all of this kind of like unspoken passion between the two of us, to unleash that, to explore that, to experience that, it would be mind-blowing. It would be next level. It would be activating of something in and of itself. And so there's a strong urge towards that, but also this energy of like, I don't just want it to be like, hey, we're hooking up and we're satisfied in that sense. There's this essence of like, I want to create something more with you. I want to experience something beyond just that. They They also say, I want to talk to you, but I'm not sure I'm ready to share everything and give you the answers that you deserve. Yeah, so again, things that may have been going on in their life, people that they may have been dealing with prior to you coming into the picture that had kind of just been there as unresolved, or, you know, if this is just, there's no like understanding between the two of you, there's been no promises made, then there's a sense of like there was a life that they were living and then you came along and somehow those two lives do not align. They're feeling like to just sort of, oh, this is what I have going on, just take it or leave it, like that's not good enough for you. So there's a sense that they need to kind of just close off that aspect within self to be able to have those open conversations, like, these are my experiences in the past, this is where I'm coming from romantically speaking, this is what we have with one another, or what I'd like to have with one another, but I don't just want it to be like, let's start this weird and kind of nebulous connection with each other. Let's work towards clarity. Let's work towards exploration. Let's work towards, hey, I want something more than just a physical relationship with you. I'd like to grow and expand into like emotional territory. I want something romantic here as well. We also have as twin flames, we are here to ascend and help others do the same. Yeah, so you light a fire within this person that is very intense. They haven't felt like this for anyone in a while, certainly among this kind of like mindset approach, this life they've been living of just casual connections. It's refreshing to feel something deeper for someone. You motivate this person to kind of like put away those just sort of, I'm a bachelor, I'll do what I want, I answer to no one, so I will just live according to me. Like you're encouraging this person to sort of move beyond that pattern within themselves in order to be able to kind of offer and experience something more co-creative with you. I also have, I feel insecure and it's pushing me to grow. Yeah, so there's a sense that, again, aspects of their life, you know, maybe even if they don't have, if they've kind of like stepped beyond the idea of, you know, just hookups and kind of random people, if they just sort of, they did that, been there, done that, and now they're kind of just like in their own energy. There's a sense as well of like a mindset, like they'd conditioned or trained themselves. They'd become jaded at some point and was like, well, love's not real. I'm never going to find love. So I'll just satisfy like my urges, my needs, my desires. They might have done that for a while and it was satisfying but empty. And so there's a sense of almost like opening themselves up to, I'm ready to be filled up by something pure, by something genuine, by something real. I'm ready to experience love, not as an illusion, not as a concept, but as something that I can really have, that's realistic, that's different than anything I've known. And so it's almost like they're awakening the dreamer in them, or the part of them that can believe that maybe something deeper is possible here. Maybe they didn't miss the boat. Maybe, you know, all of that disappointment was just kind of bringing them to this place of, okay, they were waiting for you. You were both kind of preparing yourselves for one another. So this is somebody who's motivated and is actively working to adjust some things energetically, or like where their attention, where their energy sort of goes as far as others are concerned, in order to be able to provide something more consistent or deep or realistic and substantial to you. So let's get some initials. This can be a first, middle, or last name, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got U, S, Q, I, O, M, K, D, F, G, V, C, B, I, V, L, P, Z, T, R, X, Y, and E. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.